disco cops, pulpy sci-fi adventures, and spiders? Here are the best RPGs to play in 2019. RPG lists are tricky in that the closer you look, the more you realise that the lines have blurred between genres. To some, RPG means swords and dice and isometric viewpoints. To others, it's literally anything with decisions and stat progression. And to make matters more complicated, we're currently in the midst of an RPG renaissance. You can't throw a shoe without hitting an Obsidian game, and heck, even isometric viewpoints are popular again, proving that almost anything will come back into fashion if you wait long enough. Yes, even disco. Here then, in no order whatsoever, are the finest RPGs you can play in 2019.
Wonderful! Let's get started.
If you watched any of our other videos about Disco Elysium, you'll be as surprised to see this game here as you would be at seeing Stardew Valley on a list of lovely farming games beginning with the letter S. Because Zom Studios' Self-Loathing 'em Up is one of the smartest introspective titles of 2019. It's part detective game, part hangover simulator with spin kicks. And the way it simulates the human brain, with all its insecurities, idiosyncrasies, and petty delusions, has never been done before in such an enjoyably gamey way. One moment, you're rolling dice to see if you can leave a conversation with your ego intact. Clue, you probably can't. The next, you're using the Inland Empire skill to grope your way through invisible dimensions of reality. It's a role-playing game in the ultimate sense of the word, that lets you fully inhabit a refreshingly disappointing character in a grubby, wonderfully realised dystopia. We're following one entry that celebrates our shortcomings with, well, another. Because The Outer Worlds, the open-ended sci-fi from legendary RPG devs Obsidian, really does make the most of your flaws. The game even tracks your experiences and embraces the things you suck at, offering you powerful perks in exchange for debuffs. The result is a quirky, amusing adventure in which you play as a fully fleshed out character, something that feels like a Firefly game made by Fallout devs. And that factor alone sets it apart. It feels like your character truly belongs to you. And it's also a crisp change to all the games that cast you as a peerless, chosen one protagonist. It's more thigh-slapping pulp adventure than sprawling Bethesda RPG, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. As long as you don't go in expecting 70 hours of wasteland wandering, you'll have a blast with The Outer Worlds.
You just keep being you.
If you like and subscribe to the YouTube Code of Conduct, you'll know that it's in the rules to feature at least one older game in our yearly best-of lists. And we make no apologies for including 2018's Kingdom Come Deliverance on this selection of unmissable RPGs. Yes, it's almost 2 years old, and no, it's not for everyone, especially if you shudder at the thought of regular in-game bathing and ensuring your illegally poached deer meat doesn't spoil when you're off on an adventure. But for everyone else, it's those repetitive, realistic additions that make Kingdom Come so compelling. You can build endurance by picking stinging nettles, poison enemy stew pots, and hide stolen goods on your horse. It's a living, reactive world that's all the more compelling for the lack of dragons and demigods. Instead, the most fearsome enemy you face here is Hungry Henry's insatiable appetite. Oh, eat a rotting chop or something, Henry. When you think about RPGs, your mind naturally wanders to snow-capped mountains, stirring vistas, and simple tales of good versus evil. Sunless Skies is not like that. Shades don't come much greyer than in this bleak, narratively driven slice of Victoriana. You captain a locomotive built for off-rails travel, as you chug through the stars of a fallen London, facing Lovecraftian monsters, sinister criminals, and the constant, gnawing threat of insanity. And yes, I know we already played our "it really is a role-playing game because you play a role" card, but that's especially true here. You feel like a real captain making tough decisions beings in a world bristling with things that want to kill you, and people who mean to profit from your death. It's a storytelling triumph, and if you've got the patience to read all that text and immerse yourself truly in the world, you'll reap rich dividends, or get devoured by monsters, which is still pretty cool. Kenshi is the type of game that can be pithily described using phrases we know and understand. It's a free-roaming, squad-based RPG, but that falls far short of actually describing what it does or how it plays. It's a massively deep game in which you're part of an emergent story rather than the centre of the universe. You can be a trader, thief, warlord, farmer, slave, or an hors d'oeuvre for the ravenous cannibals that roam the land. It's a strange, brutal game that's all the better for its obscurities. One moment you're cheerfully exploring the seedy bars with your oddball band of adventurers, the next you're dying of starvation or being bludgeoned by bandits. Fight your way past the savage learning curve, tricky interfaces, and deeply strange presentation, and you'll be presented with a genuinely unique RPG that could, and perhaps should, have been one of 2019's sleeper hits. Yes, you're right, this is cheating. Dark Souls originally came out on PC in 2012, and PC players have long been using DS Fix to get the most out of a 9-year-old game. But the 2018 remaster is the easiest way to play the best supported version of the best action RPG ever made. There's no reason to go into the specifics. The system, the sense of progression, and incredible world are unavoidable, even if you've never even urged an armoured slipper into Lordran. But here's the thing. If you love the feeling of being alone and in danger that only comes from classic fantasy pen and paper role-playing, few games capture the terror and immersion in the same way as Dark Souls. If you want to play a game where the dragons live up to the hype, where even sewage can kill you, where the world feels like it existed before you arrived and will continue to do so afterwards, there is nothing to rival Dark Souls, even in 2019. However bright, flashy and impressive PC RPGs get, there's always a part of us buried like a hopeful child's time capsule that yearns for the lost days of isometric fantasy scenes, rugged dwarves, and the comforting rattle of simulated dice rolls. And Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire is like digging up that same time capsule and finding that not only is everything in there just as wonderful as it was when you entombed it, but your long-dead childhood pet is somehow alive and well too. You were definitely dead when I buried you, Mr. Pickles. Anyway, this giant swashbuckling RPG from Obsidian recaptures the wonder of Baldur's Gate and Planetscape Torment and crisply refits them for a modern audience. So what you get is a game that feels like it came off the shelf in a box containing a jukebox of discs, but features modern mechanics, smart, thoroughly engaging writing, and naval combat mechanics that prove there ain't no party like a squad-based RPG party. Greedfall is one of those games that will appear on those best average games lists for the next 10 years. And even if it didn't score 10s across the board, it's the sort of deep, ambitious RPG that grows in prestige over time. It's a huge, rich, proudly old-school RPG, which has players exploring a setting filled with magic, secrets and monstrous creatures. And, of course, the promise of unspeakable wealth. There's always that. And while classic RPG combat is certainly part of the experience, diplomacy and deception are equally important as you play opposing factions off each other and cement your place in a reactive, evolving world. But it's the setting itself that really makes Greedfall sing. Kind of like if Christopher Columbus discovered a continent full of wizards, beasts and man-eating plants. If you love established RPG trappings but fancy visiting somewhere fresh, Greedfall literally offers a brave new world. Okay, it didn't come out this year, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey did get a stack of new DLC in 2019, so it definitely counts. And even if it didn't, I'd probably have found a way to shamelessly crowbar it in. And that's because even after the success of Origins, no one knew exactly how beautifully Ubisoft's sneaky franchise would infiltrate the RPG genre. The choice of 2 characters, oh hello Cassandra and Alexios, is only the beginning of your important ancient Greek decisions. Seemingly endless quests await, scattered across the most visually arresting world of the entire franchise. Here you can explore islands, cities, fight monsters, and agonise over a frankly intimidating ability system. Suddenly embracing the Creed's more fantastical elements, as Cassandra and Alexios haven't made it to the Hidden Blade stage of history, Odyssey arms you with the broken spear of Leonidas. This means that the stale combat of the series is long gone, as you smack soldiers into oblivion like an ancient Greek version of the Hulk. In short, it's smashing. Haha, do you remember the time that Dad went into the portal in the basement and got killed by giant spiders? Lol. And then Mum went after him and she died too. Amazing. They looked like parent jerky, all sucked dry and crispy. Great days. So, yeah, Children of Morta is part RPG, part roguelike, part familial soap opera with magical corruption. It hits all the right beats if you love classic dungeon-delving RPG games. Loot, monsters, unlockable skills. But the death and rebirth mechanic gives it the deep replayability of a classic roguelike. It has a solid story too, as you reach further and further into the cursed portal, unlocking new characters and learn more about the troubled Bergson family. This means Children of Morta is a blend of styles that just shouldn't work, but it does. A bit like the RPG equivalent of the baked Alaska that Mum used to make before the spiders got her.
So mesmerizing.
And there you have it, a list of RPGs that put the stat in ecstatic. And of course, we can't leave without mentioning The Witcher 3. It definitely deserves to be on this list, even now. But we already put it in this year's best single-player games list, and poor old Geralt needs to put his feet up. I don't know from personal experience, of course, but I hear it's tiring being this popular. Anyway, don't forget to hit that like button if you love the clatter of digitised dice, and join our party by hitting the subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. I promise to give you the best new loot when it drops.